Welcome back to the Tracy Take. I am your co-host Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and we are continuing our 7-round mock draft series with the Cleveland Browns. But before we get into that, if you have not already, hit that subscribe button and also ring that bell to get notified when we create new content. Brian and I, we have a goal of getting to 1,000 subscribers by April 27th, which is NFL Draft Night, which we will be going live on watching the first round of the draft. So help us reach our goal. We are sitting at 720. We are almost 3/4 of the way there with just a little bit more help. That would be greatly appreciated. And with that, Ryan, let's get into it.
Let's do
the
it.
Cleveland Browns, for comparing this offseason to last offseason, has been a little bit more low-key,
Yeah.
a little bit more quiet for the Cleveland Browns. But that being said, though, really good. I'd actually say a very successful free agency so far for the Cleveland Browns. Signing Dalvin Tomlinson, they've re-signed Ethan Pochich, which was one of the best centers last year. They have also addressed other positional needs, such as edge rusher with signing Agbo Okoronkwo. It's close enough.
Yeah, I don't know how to say that. Yeah.
Close enough. When you subscribe and start watching some more of our videos, that will become a consistent trend that I struggle to pronounce names. I apologize. But that being said, though, this probably the biggest move that they have made so far today. We're recording this March 22nd. They traded for Elijah Moore from the New York Jets. They got him and a third-round pick number 74, and they traded their second, which I actually think, let's just kind of go straight into their 7-round mock draft series, is I actually think that there was a huge potential for them to draft a receiver with their first, second-round pick, because I don't feel like David Bell is going to be the guy, and there's going to be a lot of good receivers there that they could draft and take a chance on. But that being said, though, this is way better value for them. I think the Browns win this trade. This was a move the Jets made, I think, so they can have extra draft pieces to trade for Aaron Rodgers. So it's a win also in their book as well. Elijah Moore wanted to leave. But I think Elijah Moore comes in and fits into this system really well. And it's better than drafting a rookie, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. Well, so you actually have a proven track record with Elijah Moore that he can create separation quickly in routes, and he's a proven commodity. And the fact that you're getting him for a second and then you're getting a third in return, I think really limits your risk here. Whereas, especially in this draft class, unless one of the top wide receivers fell down to you, which I don't think really would have happened, because I don't even think Josh Downs makes it to, what was it, 42?
In our draft, no. I would say in real life, looking back on it, he might be there at 43 or 42.
He's the only one that might make it there. So I think
of that topper tier of receivers, yes.
Yeah, and so I think getting Elijah Moore here, a proven commodity in the NFL, I think is a very solid trade. So we did have a pick here at 43, but that is now shipped over to the New York Jets. The Browns do now have pick 74, which is a pick we did not include in this mock draft, as we did this mock draft on Sunday, March 12th. So
But with that pick, though, we talked about it. I think positional needs, I think that they can go and address. To me, the one that pops out the most would be linebacker. They have not signed Anthony Walker Jr. yet or Deion Jones. Actually, I believe they might have released Deion Jones. I need to double check that. But that being said, there's still some gaping holes. They have signed Matthew Adams from the Chicago Bears, but I think he's more of just a positional piece. They have re-signed Sion Takitaki. Oh, I didn't. Oh, okay. That's pretty good. That being said, I think they could still add more depth, and that honestly might, within the weakness so far of that defense. I can see them going linebacker there. Who was the guy that was still on the board during our mock draft from Tulane?
Dorian Williams, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I could see them potentially going with him if he is still available, if they want to address the linebacker position. But those are those first two picks. It's a little unique video just because of the massive breaking news of the Elijah Moore trade and how it's changing some of the things up. And also, we didn't want to move the Jets pick over just for the Browns because they had them drafting Hendon Hooker. I don't think that would be the guy that they would draft here. So let's move on, though, now to a pick that we for sure know that the Browns are going, and it is their 99th pick. If some of our picks are off a little bit as we go through this, it's because the software that we used counted forfeited picks. So just bear with us on there. But with their first pick now officially, that we are drafting. We have them going with the edge rusher from Missouri, Isaiah McGuire. And I like this pick a lot because they have moved on from Jadeveon Clowney. They have bringed on Mr. Ogbo as well, and they signed him. But I also think adding some more depth just to go along, just have as many pieces to go next to Myles Garrett as possible. Any guys that can maybe catch lightning in a bottle is going to be great because Myles Garrett's one of the best, if not the best, edge rushers in the league. 16 sacks last year. Getting him some running mates would be huge.
Yeah, and for me, I like Isaiah McGuire a lot. He's a true 3-down edge player, and the Browns do like to run a 4-3 system, so having a 3-down edge player is crucial. And he's just as effective in the run as he is in the pass. He does lack some elite athleticism, but his athleticism is not a fault by any means. So I really like him here, especially getting him just inside the top 100. I think that's good value. And he's at worst a rotational player come week 1 of the NFL season. So I really like this pick here. I don't think they can go wrong. But speaking of guys who have elite athleticism, here at 112, the Browns' next pick, we have them selecting Devon Achane, the running back from Texas A&M. Nick Chubb will be there. Kareem Hunt will not be back in Cleveland, it seems like. And I think Devon Achane is the perfect home run hitter that can be paired with Nick Chubb for a dynamic duo that I think is terrifying. So,
well, he can come in and give Nick Chubb some rest, but at the same time, though, if you need him to, he can play multiple downs. He definitely can be a great third down back. And then now look at this offensive system. If with Amari Cooper and DPJ on the outside, you got Elijah Moore in the slot, and you got David Njoku. They did sign Jordan Atkins from the Texans, but I mean, just has maybe more depth, but still. But I digress. Now in the backfield, you're going to have Nick Chubb, and then to back him up, Devon Achane, who has absolute breakaway speed. I think he was one of the faster running backs at the combine.
I think he was the fastest.
Okay, So, I mean, and I think I like him pairing him up with Nick Chubb because he can still run the ball as well, but then he also has that receiving threat capabilities, which I think would be a great replacement for Kareem Hunt at a 4th-round value price. So if he makes it this far, this deep into the draft, huge pickup. I think that they're running to go get this guy for this value. So moving on now to the next pick at pick 127, we have the Browns going with Keandre Coburn, defensive lineman from Texas. I do like the player. I do like the pick. I think that this would be some really good value here, especially just considering what just adding more depth as we talked about with Isaiah McGuire. I feel like they might maybe go a different route this early with the amount of picks that they do have. I guess just depending, only just because of how much depth they've already added to the defensive line. I do still like the player, but looking back on it now and with all the free agency signings, especially Dalvin Tomlinson, maybe they would wait later in the draft to get defensive interior help.
Yeah, so I do like him here. He's not the best scheme fit. He's definitely more of a nose tackle rather than like a 4-3 defensive tackle. But he's a huge guy. He's, I want to say, 6'5", 360. And I just think the Browns, they did struggle against the run at times last year. You get this guy even as a rotational piece to plug and play in your defense. I really, really like him, and he's one of the best run stuffers in this class. And again, probably not the best scheme fit, but I do really like what he brings to the table as a run stuffing defensive tackle with some pass rushing upside. So,
So, all right, moving on next, and they have a couple picks later at pick 142. We have them going with linebacker Owen Papo from Auburn. Once again, I already kind of mentioned this maybe with their first pick in the draft officially with the 73rd pick, but addressing that linebacker position again seems like that's one of the more weaker spots of the team. And at here, you're just getting good linebacker depth, good value. Yeah. Maybe it's a home run pick if Matthew Adams doesn't work out, or if maybe Dorian Williams that they take at 73 or 74 if he is the route that they go there. But just adding more depth at the position, that's what you're kind of looking for here at this point in the draft.
Yeah. At this point, you're really looking for traits that you like and you think you can develop here in the middle of the 5th round. So I like Owen Papo. He's a little bit undersized, but he's going to bring a little bit more speed. Will definitely be a contributor on special teams his rookie season. But yeah. So Next up at pick 144, we have the Browns taking wide receiver Puka Nacua from BYU. So I like him a lot. He is a outside receiver, contested catch machine. He does struggle with injuries, and he didn't necessarily have the best quarterback play at BYU this past season. But again, I think if you can keep him healthy and keep him on the field, I think you have a really good developmental wide receiver prospect here in the early 5th round as well in Puka Nacua.
Yeah, I would say, and he's a little bit on the bigger side as well, right?
Yeah, he's about 6'2", 200.
Yeah, so I know Amari Cooper has been in the league for a little bit of time, so maybe you can develop him and maybe turn into something once that Amari Cooper contract runs out. Maybe you can take his place, but that's at this point, as we've talked about, developmental pieces, and so Amari Cooper is still one of the best receivers in the league, in my opinion. So last couple of picks here, Ryan. Let's run through them. At pick 192, we're going with Antonio Mafi, interior offensive lineman from UCLA. It's just pure depth, honestly. So they haven't, in this offseason so far, they have re-signed Ethan Pochich, as we talked about. But with the type of offense that they want to run, which is like through Nick Chubb and also providing time with Deshaun Watson, want to have offensive depth pieces. And I think they haven't really addressed it up to this point. And so I think you need to get an offensive lineman.
Yeah, no. And Tony Mafi is one of the more athletic guards in this class. And I like this pick here at 192. He's a little raw in his technique, but I still like him as a developmental guard. And then lastly, at pick 231, Jarek Bernard-Converse, the cornerback from LSU. Really just adding depth, getting a rotational guy, most likely a camp body that has an outside chance of making the roster. So yeah. All in all, I think this is a pretty good draft for the Browns, especially with that Elijah Moore trade. That is, we talked about it when we were making that pick at 43, and it really was, well, we think they should take a slot receiver here, but there wasn't really one on the board. And I think Elijah Moore is a perfect fit there. I think Deshaun Watson's going to love him. So I really like that trade. Yes, they don't really pick until middle of day 2, but I think you take that with Elijah Moore.
Well, but it's like what we talked about with this trade. They kind of already did pick, you know. So and that's why I like it. I think it's a good pick swap. And then you know what, they get an additional third. As well.
It's only his second year in the league or third year in the league for Elijah Moore.
Yeah. So he's been around the block. He knows the system and everything, or he knows what it's like to be an NFL receiver. You know, there's not any big jumps, so to say. But